Last week, Amnesty International said all those involved in the decision to use lethal force in Marikana must be held fully accountable, and that the disturbing pattern of obstructing the investigations into the deaths must stop. My guests today are Amnesty International's Deputy Director for Southern Africa, Noel Kututwa, and Sdumo Dlamini, President of South Africa's biggest trade union federation, Cosatu. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Sdumo Dlamini, let me start with you. It's been 2 years. Nothing, absolutely nothing has changed in the labor regime, in the social situation around Marikana or anywhere else around mining communities, in the security situation, the legal situation. Absolutely nothing has changed in these 2 years. So we're waiting on another Marikana, aren't we?
If we remain in a state of shock for too long, danger is that we may have another Marikana elsewhere instead of pulling our sleeves and getting on the issues that are on the ground. These are the issues. There's inequality in our country, there's poverty, there's unemployment. The mining communities are suffering, and government, the mining bosses, labor in general, and Cosatu, I would say so, we all needed to have put our heads together and get on the job to fix those issues. You are
Cosatu. Why haven't you done it? Why haven't you pushed your comrades in government? Why haven't you pushed mining bosses who you've dealt with for as long as Cosatu has existed to say, this cannot go on, we need to start now?
Cosatu has made a call for a mining commission at the time when the president announced the Marikana or the Falam Commission. We welcomed that, but we still say a Vihan type of a commission to deal with the real issues in the mining communities is what is going to take us to the actual dealing with the problems. We do not undermine the work of the commission currently. We think it has taken too long because we all need to get on the job and do good to those issues that are there. They are real issues, that they are a time-ticking bomb. If we don't act with speed, we may see another Marikana.
Sdumo Dlamini, Noel, Sdumo Dlamini refers to the time it has taken for the Falam Commission to do its work. What does it mean when it's taking 2 years and nothing's changing?
Yes, thank you, Justice. There's the common adage that justice delayed is justice denied. And one of the things that we have pointed out as Amnesty International is that we are extremely concerned by the pattern of concealment of evidence, the falsification of evidence, and the general lack of cooperation by the police authorities, in particular with the Falam Commission. And that has resulted in the delay of the Marikana Commission, which we, as Amnesty International, called for when the massacre happened 2 years ago. A very good example of that is the police hard drives, which were only made available to the Commission in September of 2013. And this was more than a year after the Commission itself was set up. Over and above that, we see that the police have not been forthcoming in producing evidence. Another example is the ballistics issue. Weapons that were used on that fateful day were not fully disclosed to the Commission, and it took a long time before those weapons were made available for experts.
You're making a very serious allegation, Noel. You're saying this is a cover-up.
Absolutely. That is what we are seeing as Amnesty International. We've been following very closely the Commission and the way in which the Commission has been operating, and evidence has been laid before the Commission that this is what has been going on. Not only that, the evidence, the oral evidence that has been laid by the police has been evasive, some detail has been omitted, some information which ought to be within the police remit hasn't been made available. Another example is on the 15th of August in 2012, there was a meeting that was held, an extraordinary meeting of the National Policing Management Forum, which endorsed a decision that was made by the Provincial Commissioner to escalate the police operation at Marikana. And that decision was based on the fact that the police felt that they needed to end the stalemate or the standoff that was there at Marikana. And that decision, what we as Amnesty has called it unlawful, and we have in fact said the police had no evidence at all to escalate the operation to where it ended up, which resulted, unfortunately, in the death of 34 miners.
What are you as Cosatu going to do about this? It sounds like, from what he says and from the evidence that we've seen, that the police did take a decision that we're going to end this by shooting 34 people dead. Those police people arrived with 4 mortuary vans, no ambulances. Clearly it was murder.
Look, Justice, I think we ought to be careful not to make conclusions. That judge there, that commission has the task to tell us, to tell the nation what happened, who is responsible, why did things happen, and go further to advise on what needs to be done so that what happens cannot be repeated.
Shouldn't you as Cosatu right now say, these things happened, we need to make sure they don't happen in the interim while the Falam Commission goes on, and therefore we need to say the police who were involved should not be in Marikana right now, should not even be around that area, because it seems as if it's business as usual for many of them.
I think we will be passing a judgment here on this case, and I must make the point that we don't know the truth of what has happened. That is why there's a commission of inquiry there. If we knew, there would have not been any investigation there.
No, let me put it to you that actually we know what happened. We know that 34 people were killed. We know 24 people were killed in the run-up to that afternoon, yes, on August 16. And those 24 people, some of them were members of your trade union, the NUM, and that this was a situation that was absolutely horrific. We can do something, even as the Falam Commission sits, to actually help and make sure that the deaths that we continue to see right now don't continue to happen.
I agree with you there, Justice. We've got, though, to know who, why, and we've got to know what needs to be done not to repeat that situation. Isn't that what South Africa has agreed to when they accepted the Falam Commission? We have been myopic.
But it sounds to me that we're using the Falam Commission to say, oh, let's put it aside and
not at all. Not at all. When people died on the 16th of August, the whole country was shocked. Why would people die? Others said it is the economic conditions. Others said people who have been led into a death. Others said different things. South Africa must know what has happened. And I think it's a correct call. It was a correct call there. We are concerned it has taken us too long. I'm happy you are even saying 24 people died even before that. Remember, the focus has been on
the 34.
34 only. 24 people, and people still died even after.
Noel Kututwa, I want to ask you something. Those police officers who acted there, they're still in uniform. They haven't received any kind of new training. We don't know who gave the order to use lethal force. What does that say about a possible, if in this strike that AMCU had this past 6 months, there was some kind of crowd control measures needed, would this happen again?
Unfortunately, the way things are going right now, and looking at how the Marikana massacre happened, one will be inclined to believe that this is likely to happen again. Unfortunately, I say so because the law that South Africa has at the moment is in line with international law. And one of the things is that the state has the obligation to protect the right to life. And that should have been the primary focus of policing on that fateful day. And taking that further, with the right to life as the primary thing, the standing orders on crowd management clearly state that minimum force should be used. And so if the police saw that it was necessary to escalate the need to use force, they should have used as an absolute maximum rubber bullets. But we see that they did not use rubber bullets. They used live ammunition. They used R5 rifles, which cause a lot of damage. And if anyone is shot by an R5 rifle, death is likely to result.
I'm going to stop you there. Sdumo, Dlamini, I'm giving you 5 seconds to tell me transformation of the mining industry. It hasn't happened in the past 2 years. It hasn't happened in 100 years. Is it going to happen anytime soon?
It must happen. It must happen to avoid the repeat of what has happened.
Sdumo, Dlamini and Noel Kututwa, thanks so much for your time. After the break, our winner and loser of the week. Stay with us.
News, enca.com.